Hello guys, this is your friend Itachi Fanfic 3.0 and we are back a new fanfic story, which is what if Naruto had never befriended Kurama and still saw him as a monster. Let's start fanfic without wasting more time. The battlefield was silent. Too silent. Dust hung in the air like ghosts of fallen warriors, and the cracked earth beneath Naruto Uzumaki's feet radiated heat from the explosion that had just ended. The sky was split open, golden light piercing through the clouds as if heaven itself was watching. In that light stood Naruto, his entire body wrapped in a blazing golden aura, the symbol of the Sage of Six Paths glowing on his chest. Behind him towered the great beast that had once been his curse, his enemy, his pain, Kurama, the nine-tailed fox. For years, Naruto had been called a monster. The villagers had shunned him, children had feared him, and even teachers had avoided him. But now, as the light of his chakra illuminated the ruined land, the world could see the truth. Naruto wasn't a monster. He was the hope of humanity. Kurama's deep, rumbling voice echoed in his mind. Naruto, they're coming. The enemy isn't done yet. Naruto nodded. I know. But this time, we fight together. From the distance, the ground began to tremble again. Out of the smoke emerged a massive army of shinobi, rogue ninjas united under a single banner, led by a man whose heart was darker than the deepest night. His name was Shinra, a former leaf ninja who had once dreamed of peace but turned to destruction after losing everything in the Fourth Great Ninja War. Shinra's chakra flared crimson. Naruto Uzumaki, he shouted, you think light can exist without darkness? I will show you the truth of despair. Naruto stepped forward, his golden aura blazing brighter. You're wrong. Light and darkness can exist together, just like me and Kurama. Kurama's tail swirled behind him, forming a protective circle. The ground cracked, and the air vibrated with power. Naruto raised his hand, forming a massive Rasengan that glowed like the sun. But instead of attacking, he closed his eyes. Kurama, lend me everything. Kurama grinned, his sharp teeth gleaming. Hey, you finally stopped holding back. In that moment, their chakras merged completely. The golden light around Naruto turned white hot, and markings appeared on his face, glowing like fire. The power of the Nine Tails was no longer a separate force, it was one with Naruto's heart. Shinra launched forward, releasing a wave of dark energy that tore through the earth. But Naruto didn't flinch. He extended his hand and whispered, truth-seeking orbs, protect. Black orbs appeared around him, absorbing the attack like water swallowing fire. Shinra's eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible. Naruto vanished in a flash of light, reappearing above Shinra. You can't win by destroying others, Naruto shouted. Because true strength comes from protecting those you love. With a roar, Naruto and Kurama unleashed their combined power, the Kurama Rasenshuriken, a sphere of chakra so vast it split the clouds apart. Shinra tried to defend himself with a barrier of dark chakra, but it shattered instantly. The explosion that followed lit up the sky like a second sun, shaking mountains and forests miles away. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent again. Naruto stood among the ruins, his golden aura fading softly. Kurama appeared beside him, smaller now, his expression calm. You did it, kid. Naruto smiled tiredly. No, we did it. From the horizon, surviving shinobi emerged. Leaf, sand, cloud, mist, all united under one purpose. They stared at Naruto, their faces filled with awe. The boy who was once hated had become the hero who saved them all. But deep inside, Naruto knew this wasn't just victory, it was peace born from pain, unity born from understanding. He looked at the sky, the rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds. Kurama, he said softly, do you think the world will ever stop fighting? Kurama smirked. Maybe. But as long as people like you exist, it'll never fall into darkness completely. Naruto chuckled. Then I'll keep shining. no matter how dark it gets. The wind blew through the battlefield, carrying away the dust of war and the whispers of the fallen. The legend of Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who carried a monster inside him, would be told for generations. Not as a story of destruction, but as one of forgiveness, unity, and light. And at that moment, under the golden sky, Naruto raised his hand once more, not to fight, but to greet the new dawn. The air was thick with dust and fire. Mountains had fallen. Rivers had dried. And in the middle of the ruined battlefield stood a single figure, glowing like the sun itself. Naruto Uzumaki. His golden chakra cloak burned brightly, rippling like living flames. The pattern of black magatamas danced across his chest and sleeves, symbols of the power that once belonged to the Sage of Six Paths. Behind him, rising like a mountain of fury and strength, stood the nine-tailed fox. Kurama. Eyes burning crimson, fangs bared, tails swaying like the arms of a god. The sky thundered above them. Clouds twisted in circles, and light poured through the breaks like divine judgment. The earth trembled under the combined might of human and beast. Naruto took a deep breath. All right, Kurama, looks like it's time to finish this. Kurama's voice echoed deep in his mind. About time, kid. Let's show them what happens when human will and a tailed beast's rage fight as one. Across the shattered plains stood their enemy, Shinra, a rogue shinobi with eyes as dark as midnight and chakra so cold it froze the very wind. Once a hero of the Hidden Leaf, he had turned against the world after losing his family in war. His goal? To erase all emotion, to create a world without pain, even if it meant destroying every living soul. Uzumaki Naruto. Shinra shouted, his voice booming through the air. Your light blinds the weak. I will tear it down and rebuild the world in eternal silence. Naruto raised his hand, his palm glowing with golden energy. You're wrong. Light doesn't blind. It guides. I'll never let your darkness swallow this world. Shinra smirked. Then you'll die with it. He slammed his hands together, and the ground split apart. Black flames erupted, forming monstrous serpents of shadow that lunged at Naruto. The air screamed as they struck, devouring everything in their path. Naruto didn't flinch. With a single motion, he spread his arms, and a wave of golden chakra burst out from his body, pushing back the darkness like dawn banishing night. The ground cracked beneath his feet, the light wrapping around him in brilliant spirals. Kurama. Naruto shouted. Let's go full power. Kurama's roar shook the heavens. Finally, all nine tails flared outward, merging with Naruto's aura until they became one blazing form, the perfect balance of human and beast. His golden cloak extended, tails of light swirling behind him. His eyes turned fierce, glowing like twin suns. He dashed forward faster than sight, fists blazing with chakra. Every punch tore through Shinra's dark constructs, scattering them like dust. But Shinra wasn't done. Pathetic. Shinra roared. You can't destroy darkness. It always returns. He lifted his arms to the sky. The clouds turned black, and from the heavens fell a storm of black meteors, each one pulsing with hatred. Kurama growled. This guy's chakra is twisted beyond repair. Naruto pressed his hands together, gathering immense energy. Then let's hit him with everything we've got. Golden energy spiraled around him, forming a massive sphere, a tailed beast Rasenshuriken, larger and brighter than anything he had ever made before. The light from it illuminated even the deepest shadows of the battlefield. Shinra smirked. You think light can defeat the truth of despair? Naruto's voice rang like thunder. I'm not fighting despair. I'm fighting for everyone who still believes in tomorrow. He hurled the Rasenshuriken forward. It spun through the air with a deafening roar, slicing through the falling meteors and exploding into a storm of golden light. Shinra tried to shield himself with his dark chakra, but the force was unstoppable. The explosion consumed everything. For a moment, the world turned white. When the light faded, The battlefield was unrecognizable, a vast crater glowing with embers. At its center stood Naruto, panting, his cloak flickering. Kurama stood behind him, his massive form shimmering like fading fire. The dark aura of Shinra had vanished. Naruto fell to one knee, breathing heavily. It's over. But a faint voice echoed from the wind. You can't destroy pain, Naruto Uzumaki, it will always return. Naruto looked up at the sky, where the clouds began to part. Sunlight streamed down upon him. Warm, gentle, alive. He smiled faintly. Yeah, but as long as we have hope, we'll always stand back up. Kurama chuckled inside his mind. You really are something else, kid. Naruto laughed softly. Guess we both are. The other shinobi, leaf, sand, cloud, and mist, began to appear on the horizon, drawn by the light. They stopped when they saw him. The boy once called a demon, now glowing like a savior. Some dropped to their knees in awe. Others wept silently. Sakura's voice broke through the stillness. Naruto, you did it. He turned and smiled. No, Sakura, we did it. Kurama's voice rumbled warmly. Hey, looks like the world finally sees you for who you are. Naruto looked at his hands, the light slowly fading from his body. Maybe, but I didn't fight to be seen. I fought so no one else would have to feel alone again. The wind blew gently through the ruins, carrying away the ashes of war and the whispers of the fallen. For the first time in years, the land felt peaceful. Kurama's giant form began to dissolve, returning to Naruto's spirit. Rest, kid. You've earned it. Naruto closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the sunlight on his face. Thanks, Kurama. I couldn't have done it without you. Yeah. Kurama's voice echoed faintly, and don't forget that next time you call me a furball. Naruto laughed, the sound echoing across the quiet valley. As he stood beneath the golden sky, he thought of everything: his parents, his friends, his teachers, and all the people who had once turned away from him. Now, they looked at him not with fear, but with hope. He whispered softly, I'll protect this peace, no matter what comes next. And as the light of dusk fell upon the broken world, Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who once carried a monster inside him, stood as the symbol of unity, forgiveness, and courage. He had proven that the greatest strength wasn't power or rage. It was the heart that never gave up, even when the world did.